The idea I'd like to share today is how I firmly believe that you cannot live in this world and expect to be happy without first accepting yourself for who you are and your differences. When I was 11 years old, I was diagnosed with developmental hip dysplasia and nociplastic pain, which is a form of complex chronic pain that affects both my hips and legs. Often, hip dysplasia is diagnosed at birth and can be fixed with non-surgical treatments if it's caught early enough. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 11, and that caused me to need surgical intervention to correct it, my latest surgery being a month ago this week. Over the years, my pain has had a significant impact on my life. I've had multiple surgeries, procedures, and medications, and spend a lot of our time traveling back and forth to the IWK Children's Hospital, where I'm supported by my orthopedic surgeon and the complex chronic pain team. When people are diagnosed with a chronic condition, they often talk about the physical battles they fight. But how come so few talk about the mental battles that occur? Oftentimes, people forget that chronic pain is as much as a mental battle that it is a physical battle. Since being diagnosed, I've suffered a lot with depression, anxiety, and acceptance because of my pain, and that's had a very harsh impact on my life. You may be asking yourself how this correlates with peace. A big part of peace is accepting your differences and allowing yourself to look that your life may look differently than other people. Depression is a common complication of chronic illness, and Cleveland Clinic estimates that 1/3 of those living with life-changing chronic illness have depression or depression symptoms. Accepting my pain has been one of the toughest parts of my life, and it took me 4 years of working with myself, along with my psychologist from the IWK, to be able to accept my condition. What was holding me back is how I was associating acceptance with giving up hope. I felt that if I accepted my pain and how it's a part of me, I'd be giving up hope on getting better. I honestly thought that I would not be happy again until I was pain-free. I've been in this pain for what will be 5 years this fall, and accepting that my life may look and feel differently from my peers has allowed me to be more understanding of myself. Having struggled with acceptance of a diagnosis for so long myself, I know that doing so is not an easy task. Being diagnosed with a chronic condition can often be compared to the feelings and process of grief. According to the APA, grief is defined as the response to the loss of something deemed important. When you're diagnosed with a chronic condition, it can feel as though you just lost the life you've had, causing panic and anxiety about what your life will look like in the future. Dr. Jennifer Martin has outlined how the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief can be applied to the grief of being diagnosed with chronic pain or chronic illness. Stage 1, denial. During this stage, you're learning how your life will start to look differently and everything becomes overwhelming. Oftentimes, people try not to think about their diagnosis because it may not feel real. For me, this stage was extremely challenging. Learning that I could not dance anymore because it was too painful to continue was a harsh reality I struggled to cope with. Stage 2, anger. Receiving a diagnosis like this can bring a lot of feelings, but anger is a big one. A common thought is, why me, or what did I do to deserve to go through this? I often would get angry because without dance and sports, I had no idea who I was, and it wasn't fair that just all of a sudden I lost the ability to do what was such a big part of my life. Stage 3, bargaining. This stage could be known as the what if or the if only stage. For me, this stage came with a lot of wondering what my life would look like if I was diagnosed earlier and wishing I had been. Stage 4, depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety may be present through all the stages of grief. However, oftentimes this stage occurs when we start to focus more on the present moment. A common symptom can be empty thoughts and sometimes thoughts on whether life is worth it anymore. This is an entirely understandable feeling when you feel as though you just lost the life you've had. Along with being in quarantine for months during the pandemic, I was struggling with my pain and trying to find myself and picture my life without dance. This was hard for me, leading me to start to isolate myself from friends and family. Stage 5, acceptance. Now, this stage doesn't mean that you're completely all right or that you don't still have feelings of anger, depression, or what if. It simply means that we learn to live with the new reality and adapt to incorporate it into our lives, accepting it as the new standard. There wasn't an exact time that I accepted my diagnosis, but still, with time, support from friends, family, and professionals, working on myself, trying to find new things I enjoy, and the mindset that I wanted to reach acceptance, I was eventually able to reach that goal of accepting my condition. Accepting a diagnosis can bring so much peace into your life and allow you to look at it differently to find the positives. After fully accepting my ongoing experience with complex chronic pain, I discovered a passion and hope to pursue a career as a pediatrician with a goal to be like the doctors who've always offered me hope and compassion while I was learning how pain could impact my life. Inner peace can be found by accepting our individuality and embracing our differences instead of allowing them to divide us. Accepting ourselves and each other without judgment creates room and space for empathy, compassion, and connection. This connection allows us as humans to build more meaningful connections and work together towards common goals, ultimately leading towards greater peace within our communities and within our world. Thank you.